say hello here? Hola?
Hola.
Is there like a more...
Like it's okay. It's just like the A in the end has a little. It's not called an accent. I think it's an accent, but it has like this little pronunciation visual. How to explain this? Yeah, the little
And you call it Lisboa, right?
Lisboa.
Lisboa, not Lisbon. Yeah. Okay.
No. Because Lisboa, it's Olá is Olá.
Okay.
It opens up. The A is openly pronounced,
Olá,
and
Lisboa.
the Olá Lisboa.
Lisboa.
Like imagine a J, like Lige.
Lisboa.
Because RSs when they're usually closed. It's
Okay.
really Lige.
I gotta know this shit before I go on.
Sure. I'm sure you'll do fine. You want to say Olá Lisboa now?
Hola Lisboa. Hola Lisboa.
There we go. We're doing something for an online thing and for the for a podcast as well.
Great.
For called Made of Things. I just launched it. So just so you know.
That's great.
Just so you know. So how are you, man?
Good. I'm excited to be here. I like this country a lot.
Have you had any experiences over here in the past? I don't remember if you played it here before. Did you?
Yeah, I've been here once before, but I just I live near a Portuguese restaurant.
Really?
I know some Portuguese people, so I'm very, very fond of the culture.
What's it called?
The restaurant?
Yeah.
Aviles?
Aviles? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in LA?
New York.
New York,
Yeah.
New York, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're New York based? I thought
Yeah.
you were living in Los Angeles.
No, I live in Brooklyn right now.
Oh,
but I'm from New Jersey.
Okay. I have all my facts wrong. Bye.
It's okay.
Goodbye. No, but do you remember your time over here, or were you just like flying through?
It was in and out, but when you travel a lot, I feel like you make like a very quick feeling of a place, whether you have this feeling where do I want to come back here or not, and sometimes you go to a place and you don't love it, but I really loved being here and love being here in general.
And what's your favorite thing to eat over there at Aviles?
Cod. You guys are all about cod.
Yeah,
It's really interesting.
If you're not in the know, and if you're not in the Portuguese cuisine thing, in Portugal we eat cod in many sorts of different ways. What's your favorite? Is there anyone you can
Just get it where it's like most of the whole thing,
like this piece of cod in oil?
But you guys do like all sorts of wild stuff.
Yeah. My favorite, I think the most enjoyed one by Portuguese people is the cod thing. They actually what you're saying, like the pasta. It's called like the I know how to say it in English. I have no idea, but like this cut.
Yeah.
Like a cod cutlet.
Like a fillet?
Like a fillet. Yeah. There you go. Thank you. Which is not a fillet in Portuguese, which is different because it has like batter and stuff. Fillet. It's different. If we're talking food over here.
Good to know. It's important for me to know.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Food is important, dude. Isn't it? Like when you go around.
Especially when you're on tour, because it's the only thing that it's a really great way to get to know a culture is to eat.
Have you had any surprises over somewhere eating something very unexpected?
Yeah, well, yesterday in Bilbao, Spain, they served fish throat.
Oh,
which was I never had that before. So yeah, you learn something new and you try something new everywhere you go.
How was it like? Like, is it gooey in any way?
It tasted like an oyster, so I just didn't really think about it.
Oh,
I just kind of like ate it and then kept on with my life.
That's cool, because that's what you kind of do with oysters, and then the payoff is there, right? Like
the payoff is that you've just eaten oysters or food poisoning. You never know.
It's actually either the best thing you've ever eaten, or some rough times.
Or really I've made a gigantic mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Roller coaster video. Is that video autobiographical?
The video, well, the song was actually about a relationship I had with a lesbian, which was very interesting and different. And it's, but then it like sort of takes a nostalgic view about like when you're at a point in your life where you get lost in these crazy relationships before you get older. Or I guess you could do it whenever. But the video was very scary because we were on top of the truck, and then the brakes broke. They went out. So we had a very close brush with death making that video.
Because I actually read that. No, two things about that video. I was actually joking with it when it was autobiographical, obviously, because I guess you didn't do that before. Did you? I mean, did you? I don't know.
Keep that part to myself.
Okay. Not chasing gorgeous girls on top of ice cream vans, right?
That's what I do on Thursdays.
It's great, awesome. But sure. But the okay. So, but what was I asking? I just got lost.
Something about the video.
Yeah, something about a video. But okay, no, because you mentioned like the past relationships and stuff like that. Because actually, that ties in with I heard. Actually, someone told me about this. I'm part of a group of people in Portugal who listen to podcasts a lot.
Oh, cool.
So, and this is coming up later in the interview, but I on Bill Simmons' podcast, Lena, who directed the video, right, mentioned that she found out that you had some girlfriends. I'm not going to mention ScarJo, that you had before. Like, so that's very public, right? That those things tend to come back to you. You think?
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing about anytime you're any sort of public person is that all sorts of different things of the past, especially nowadays, because everything's so easy to find out.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You just like find out anything you want. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know what the media is like around the world, but at least in America, the media, if something is brought to their attention, then it'll become a big thing, and then go away, and then big thing, then go away. Mm-hmm. So it's people can find out anything. You kind of have to have peace with that.
Sure. So basically, the feeling is that if you're living in a righteous way, more or less, like I've done no wrong. I'm living my life, and that's what I do, and that's what I think. So you're okay with that? I mean,
well, I fuck up all the time, but I think that's also. I'm not trying to appear to be anything but a fuck up. So it's just is what it is, And the way I look at it is like it's just part of the culture we live in, and the way that media and technology works, and I don't want to. I don't want to have a bad attitude about it because I really don't care that much.
Sure.
It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
No one's ever said anything about me that. I mean, people can say whatever they want, so who cares?
Okay. I was just asking, not because it's important to me, like the whole gossipy thing. I don't care, really.
It's fascinating, though, the way media works, because it does affect the way we get information and which information we get. So, it is a shame in the sense that I remember 5-10 years ago, it was less clickbait, more about like a whole story, and now it's just little things that shoot out.
Clickbait is really tiresome, right?
Well, it's hard because it dictates the stories that get told.
Yeah.
And the stories that people want to hear aren't necessarily the ones that should get told.
Yeah.
So like news is become entertainment news.
Yeah. And mostly untrue.
Well, that's a problem also, especially Fox News in America.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever know that.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we're aware.
It's really bad.
I think we all. I think pretty much people have an idea of how it's so, well, not to use a cliche or trite word, but like biased. It's really not news, not the truth, right?
Yeah, but I think people have become hip to that. There's good news in America, but it's just Fox News is just it's like a parade. It's like a circus.
Sure.
Like
is there any you'd recommend though? Any news source?
I get most of my news from either NPR. Where else do I get news from? I get news from CNN. Mm-hmm. I get different news from different places. If I want to just find out what's happening, I might go to like just CNN just because they'll just literally say what happened. But if I want an opinion that I think is actually interesting, I think that, the New York Times or Washington Post or, New Yorker or Newsweek or NPR, there's places where you feel like you could get an interesting conversation. But Fox News is a big no. Fox News, their logo should just be like a big old white guy. Sure.
With subtitle saying privilege.
Oh yeah, or it's like may nothing change.
Yeah, exactly. Status quo.
Yeah.
I actually like a few weeks ago, because of the horrible thing with the church, the massacre.
It's still going on. There have been 8 African American churches that have been burned down, but it's not making national news.
I didn't know
quiet.
that. Yeah, that's
Very quiet.
insane.
Yeah.
This year's been insane.
This year's been insane with race relations. And it's terrible things have happened, but the one good thing you can say about it is that it's more a part of the conversation than it ever has been.
Yeah, sure.
It's on the tip of everyone's tongue in America, as it should be.
Of course, obviously, it needs to be shined upon, light shined upon that. But I was saying the Fox News because some pundits said that they actually mentioned that the solution to the problem would be more guns. Like the people in the church, inside the church, should have some guns to defend themselves with.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what with I don't know. I'm just
there's science there. Like there's scientific, there's mathematical facts that if you have a gun, you are X amount more likely to get shot. Like guns breed shooting, obviously. But that's
the whole Michael Moore movies from
incredible.
Yeah, incredible
film. But that's just also a funny thing about America is that's the conversation has been about LGBT rights and marriage equality and now trans rights and things like that.
And the LGBTQ rights.
Well, LGBTQIA now.
Exactly.
So, there's I think in any culture there's always going to be people that are very scared of change, and I understand that change is scary, but sometimes they take the wrong approach and they get very angry and stuck in things staying the same. But that's you go through the history of the world. I'm sure Portugal has their own politics and these things. Every place in the world has a struggle to change.
Yeah, it's pretty much more or less everywhere the same, I guess.
Yeah. So, some places are,
Like Syria, obviously.
You look at Canada, and there's a lot less shootings. You look at certain places where, in America for a while we had marriage equality only in a few states, and only recently it was everywhere. And so it was funny because then you'd be looking and be like, well, it's working great here. God hasn't come down and burned the world.
Exactly yet.
But
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, it's interesting times. It's an interesting time to be alive and to be conscious. Sure. And one thing I like about it, as far as music and culture and media and politics, is I like that at least we're all talking about it. Because I remember around 99, 2000, 2001, it was very unpopular to give a shit or talk about issues. And I think that we're in a culture where young people care.
Yeah, it was the height of irony, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, like Limp Bizkit.
Sure. One last thing to ask you before, because we're running out of time. But so the name of the podcast is Made of Things, and so it's based on the assumption that an artist has heard something or read something or watched something or experienced something that made the person want to dedicate themselves to having a career in arts. Did you have that moment, and what was it?
I've had many of those moments. Early moments that I can remember is being in school and not being able to understand what was going on, and I would draw in my notebook and I would create these whole pages of art, and it's the only thing that made me feel good in my life was that I could create that, because I couldn't relate to what was happening in school. I didn't do well, I didn't get good grades or anything. And then all the way up to 2 years ago, I read an interesting story about this therapist who says that everybody has a shadow, and it's like the part of yourself that you hate.
Does that have to do with the song?
Yeah, that's what the song's about. Wow. But just different examples of different moments that I've been fully changed by a concept. So that song I thought about a lot when I made this album in the past 2 years, is that like we all walk around the earth, and all of us, there's what we are and what the world sees, and there's this horrible version that only we see, and we carry it everywhere like a shadow. So yeah, the constant moment. I could think of 1,000 of just different moments where I became obsessed with the concept and then wanted to dedicate myself to that.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you, like, what was the last one? Like, oh, I'm doing this, and this is what I should be doing. You know?
Most recent one?
Yeah. You can remember. I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, I'm working on new music right now, and I just made a playlist on my computer of sort of this new sound that I'm working on, and I just got in my bunk the other night and I put on my headphones and I was just alone with the sounds I made alone. I like to do things in a very small environment, and I just felt very like connected to myself. Like, this is what I do, this is why I do it. All the bullshit aside, like this feels like an expression of myself.
Sure.
So those are powerful moments for me sometimes when I'm just alone, listening to the things I've done.
Just one last thing, because Miguel is calling us. Bleachers in Portuguese, if you pronounce it with a Portuguese accent, kind of sounds like bunk beds. So just so you know, bleachers. It's kind of like bleachers. Yeah, if you say bleachers, it's like, because bleach means bunk bed.
Bleach.
Yeah, bleach. Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Bleach.
Yeah.
I love
bleach.
it.
And so bunk
beds
bed
in my house.
Oh, so that's it.
It works.
Awesome. It works. Bleachers.
Nice to meet you guys.
It was her idea.
That's great.
And so credit to her.
Bleachers.
Thanks, man. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Nice to meet you.
love the album.
Thanks so much.
It's really good. And I really forced this interview. Like, I really want to do the interview
cool.
with Jack.
Thanks for having me.
I loved you on Comedy Bang Bang. Both the
cool.
podcast. Actually, Scott's most serious interview ever, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he was nice.
But he was very serious.
I
at that
love
time.
podcasts. I did that at You Listen to Mark Maron.
I did not. Actually, I
great.
haven't downloaded, but I haven't listened to it. I know. I'm a huge Maron fan.
Huge Maron fan.
Huge
And,
Maron fan.
I listen to The Moth a lot. Do you listen to that?
To the what?
Moth?
Moth? No, I haven't heard.
Podcast.